Hi everyone, we welcome you to the session on application modernization using CloudPilot. My name is Gaurav Tandon. I work as a application modernization specialist in the Microsoft Solution Assessment team, and I would love to take you through some of the slides and show you the demo of the tool, how the application modernization can help your existing application move into cloud, and then help you save money as well. So that is the intent of the session today. So first of all, before we start, I would love to say that this is an absolutely no-cost assessment to use. So you can sign up at that link at the bottom, which you can use to do a absolutely no-cost assessment to you. And with that, I would love to share on some of the models. I'm sure most of you would be aware there are different type of models, right? Typically, customers look at how do we move into infrastructure as a service. So they're looking at lift and shifting their application into Azure, but then you're not getting the real benefit of cloud. To get the real benefit, what we try to help customers there is how we can modernize their application into PaaS services so that you do not have to worry about the underlying infrastructure, you do not have to worry about patching, you do not have to worry about middleware, etc. You just focus on the core product and the data, which you can modernize and leave the rest to Microsoft to manage. So that's the key message that we're trying to do today, and that's what we'll show how you can take your applications to PaaS. With that in mind, I would love to show you that I'm sure you're pretty much aware. Application modernization, the application modernization is a term which is used to talk about how we can take your legacy application and move them into cloud, which can give you a new framework. You do not have to worry about the underlying infrastructure and give you better speed, efficiency on your applications, with a core thing in mind that will focus just on the code of your application to make it better, to not worry about the infrastructure. So we want to take that out of this. There are various pillars that we work on, like how we can make your application more reliable, how we can make sure that it's secure, how we can optimize your cost further, because when you do not have to worry about the underlying infrastructure, then you can actually optimize the cost as well. Your management effort reduces, and there's an operational excellence benefit to it as well. So that means you can run your application 24/7 without worrying about downtime or any security updates that you want to do. So there is no patch management. There is nothing you have to do there. We will discuss in detail about the 6R treatment because, like I said, we do not want to really move into a lift and shift options for your application. We want to make sure that we give you the best of cloud. And when I say best of cloud, we want to look at how we can move into refactor or re-platform your application, or how we can talk about some of the refactor, re-architecting benefits as well. And this tool that we'll talk about will basically give you that benefits on how you can modernize your application using a very detailed approach. So that's what we'll talk about. If I move to the next slide, you'll understand that the tool that we're talking about is called CloudPilot. It's a fantastic tool by one of our partners. CloudPilot is a static code analysis tool. And think about this. This tool can help you scan your application and give you recommendations. Within like 90 minutes, you can scan about 1 million lines of code instead of putting in an effort of a developer going there, spending a lot of time, spending a lot of days, man hours in running that application and understanding where the changes have to be done. The key focus of this tool is it talks about readiness. It talks about readiness, detailed recommendation down to the code level. You can run a single scan. You can run multiple applications through this tool. So these are some of the features. And since we are talking about the source code, I want to reassure every one of you that the scan happens locally within your environment. This tool works completely in an offline mode, so you do not have to worry about what is moving out of my environment. You will download a small utility, we'll get a license for you, you download a utility, you run the scan locally, and then you upload the results back to the portal only. So that's the key thing about this tool, and that's why customers love this tool, because it can do very quick analysis of your source code. It can provide you recommendations down to the code level, and it is done locally. It's doing all scan locally, so there is no data which moves out of your environment. So that's the best part about this. And if I just tell you, like I said, the process is very simple. It's a 3-step process. Scanning, it's done locally. No data moves out. 3-step process. We do the kickoff with you. If you like the tool, if you understand what the tool does, we can work into a working session where we actually help you scan some of the applications, so the source code, some of the databases with you, and then we talk about how can we do a POC or a pilot in Azure App Service or containers. So it's a 3-step process. It's a very quick assessment. The good thing also is that you get 1 year access to this tool with unlimited scans. So if you have done some changes to the application, you can rerun a scan as well, and you can see how you have improved, how your readiness score has improved over a period of time. So many customers do that as well, that they'll do some changes, they rerun a scan, and make sure the tool readiness is going up to 100%. So that's the key message. 3 steps, very simple. So with that in mind, I'd love to move to the next slide, which is basically this assessment comes to you at no cost. It's all funded by Microsoft. So the tool license, the consulting hours from our team is absolutely at no cost to you, and you can go ahead and register here for a free estate assessment. So because we want to pass on that benefit to customers as well, to make sure that you're aware of that there's a past service as well, which can help you further optimize the cost. So I hope you got some insights on those slides on what application modernization is, how you can take some of the application, what we're trying to do with your application, and what is the overall process. Now, let me take you through the actual demo. Let me take you to the actual portal and show you how some of the reports look like and how these reports can help you in taking your application further into Azure. So here's the demo, and I'll share my screen. So whenever you are, like when we do a kickoff with the customer and you're ready that yes, you want to go ahead with the CloudPilot scan, this is the screen that you see wherein you go sign in with the CloudPilot ID, you fill in the credentials that we share with you, you log into the portal, and the landing screen when you see is a dashboard. So this dashboard basically helps you see on what applications, what databases you have scanned, which can basically tell you that, okay, this is the total number of applications, this is the total number of databases, this is the type of application, this is the type of databases that you've scanned, and your team can basically go through this. If you see on the left-hand side of the screen, there are various options on the screen. So landing page is dashboard, but if you see the second option says download product. So whenever you log in for the first time, what you do is you go to this screen, you download the CloudPilot migration tool from here. You can see that there are some system requirements, like for example, you should be running, this is a Windows-based application, so you should have a Windows machine, you should install data migration system before you run the scan, your system should be running .NET Framework version 4.8. That's the basic prerequisite. We do not touch the keyboards during the whole process. So we are basically assisting one of your team members to run the scan. So that's why it's very important that that person who is running the scan from your team should have access to the source code and system administrative access on the databases so that we can make sure that the process is seamless. So once that is done, you basically download the CloudPilot tool from here, and the utility is done locally. Now, since we are talking about that we're doing local scan, there may be an option that there may be a scenario wherein you're downloading this to a machine which is not connected to the internet. So what you do is, if you see, there are a lot of options here on the left-hand side. If you click on upload report, you can upload the report manually as well. So each application will produce an XML file which can go in and upload, and each database will produce 3 JSON files which can come and upload manually here. That gives you actually a sense of security as well, because you do not have to worry about what's being uploaded. You can actually view the XML file, you can view the JSON file before you make that upload, so that you know what's going back to the cloud portal. So that is one of the reassurances that we're giving back to the customer, that there's no data which is moving out, only the metadata or only the results are pushed back to the portal as well. So this is on the scanning and how do you do the scanning. If I just go to the sample application and show you one of the sample reports. So for each application that you scan, this is what you get. So this is the landing page, and I call this as the project manager view or the product owner view, wherein you can select the region of your choice. So you can select any region you want, for example, Central India, South India, Europe, or any region that you want. You can choose the currency as well, INR, USD, GBP, etc. The important thing is here, where you see on the blue bar here, you see what you have scanned. So what is the project name? What is the application type? What are the components? How many components are there in the application? What is the line of code? What is the platform? What is the candidate, etc. These 5 boxes here will show you on what is the readiness of your application. So I basically start from the bottom right, which shows that for Azure App Service, you're 77% ready. For containers, you're 79% ready, or for VM, you're 81% ready. For each application, you get these 3 recommendations because it depends on what do you want to do with the application. Some customers say that my application is on-prem, it's a monolith, I want to move it to a VM first in Azure. And then I want to look at modernization option as it is Azure App Service Containers. So you can look into that as well. However, some customers, when they look at these results and say, you know what, the effort in terms of moving to a VM versus moving to an app service is very minimal. So I would directly move into app service and probably save my cost and effort. So that is something that customers consider when they see this. So 77% readiness on Azure App Service, for example, I just keep it to Azure App Service for now. You see this migration effort, which is basically how do I get to 100%? So you see that you will need estimated about 118 hours to get your application to 100% ready for Azure App Service. You see this recommendation as well, like there are 18 recommendations. And there is a sizing on Azure which the tool gives as well, which is for your reference. For example, if you want to see how much you will have to pay monthly, you can see on the costing as well. Then the good thing is that we can go to the developer view. So you can click into these 18 changes. For example, on the left-hand side, you see a lot of options. You can go into app service assessment and you can go down into those 18 changes, what those 18 changes are. And out of the assessments that we have done, most of the customers, they love this report because this is a report which is more of a developer view, wherein developers can go in and see what changes they have to do in their application to make it ready for Azure. So if you see here on the screen, you will see how big the changes are, what is the magnitude of changes, where the changes coming from, is it application and platform design, security, etc. Then you can go into categories of changes. For example, are they hard-coded URLs, are they background processing, etc. So you can go into those details as well. And as you scroll down, you will see this is the changes. And it's a long report. As you scroll down, you will see all the 18 changes that it talked about. You will see that there's a reason for change, that why this change is required. You will actually get the code block that where you need to change this change, the line number, the file path. You'll get the recommendation as well. You'll get the estimated effort in terms of how much effort is required. This is just an estimation, so it can be plus minus. What is the impact? Is it a migration blocker or is it an optional change? And if you want to go into more details on this recommendation, you can actually go to the help URL and see what are the more details on this specific change. So this was just one example of one change that the tool was recommending. As you scroll down, you will see more changes in terms of what needs to be done with the application, either they are optional or migration blockers. This is one of the best part about this tool, because if you let a developer look into these changes, the developer can take like a lot of days in just looking at these changes and making it ready for modernization. But this tool does it almost instantly, because as you upload the results to the portal, you see this report instantly. So you can view the results, you can create action plans based on this report. And like this is a long report, as I said. And if I go up, you can download this report as a PDF. For example, if someone in your team doesn't have access to the portal and they want to see the report, you can download this report as PDF and you can share it within the team and say, okay, this is what you can use to make action plans. And if you want to just focus on, for example, if your application is into critical path, so you can just focus on the mandatory changes only. If you see, right now your application readiness is about 26%, but if you do not want to focus on optional changes for now, you just want to focus on mandatory changes, the application readiness jumps to 96%, and there are only 2 changes which you have to do to make sure that your application is ready. So that is something that's another feature given to you. Depending on customer to customer, we have seen customers using it only for mandatory changes if they are like on critical path. But we have seen customers saying that, you know what, we want to focus on all changes because I do not want to just move my application into cloud, into Azure, but I want to focus on optimizing my application as well. So that is something that customers do. There are a lot of other reports. For example, if the customer is focusing into using microservices or using containers, you get a lot of detailed report into Linux containers, Windows containers as well. So if you click on, so let me show you just an example of Windows container. This report will basically be the similar report which I showed you for app service. It will go into similar details. You can do the same things. You can download this report as PDF, share it internally with the team. So if your focus is to move into a Linux container or a Windows container, this report is good for you. And when we're talking about containers, a lot of questions are being asked. For example, if my application is a .NET application, right? How do I move from .NET Framework to .NET Core? So there's a new thing which has been added to this assessment list that you can actually look at. How do you move from .NET Framework to .NET Core? It will give you recommendations to the same detail, like this is the code block that you need to change, this is the estimated effort, and this is the impact. Is it migration block or optional? So that's about .NET Framework. And then the third option is VM assessment. Similar way, Some customers say that I want to move into a VM first and then modernize. Some customers directly go into modernization. So this tool will give you all paths, and then you can make a judgmental decision on which path do you want to take. Do you want to get directly to modernization, or do you want to take a step firstly into Azure, look at the configuration, and then do the optimization? Just to mention to you that this tool can support majorly 4 types of frameworks. So if you've got a .NET application or .NET framework, including ASP.NET, C#, etc., this tool can cover all those frameworks, and we'll share the details with you. So .NET, Java, PHP, and Python. Anything built on the same framework, this tool can scan. And this tool can look at the associated databases as well. So for example, this tool can scan a SQL Server. If you're planning to do Oracle to Postgres, this tool can look at that as well. MariaDB, MongoDB, this tool can look into all that as well, MySQL, and tell you how do you want to move into Azure. This tool can also get into some of the application dependency stuff as well. For example, if you've got various components in your application and your application is dependent, this tool will create a high-level map on how your application is dependent on those components. This is really good because if you're trying to move your application, you need to understand those dependencies as well. Because once you're moved into Azure, you may want to do reconfiguration of those dependencies. So this tool can do that as well. And apart from all the compliance security recommendations you get, one important thing is that you've got the open source component code. These days, there are a lot of open source components being used in the source code. As you know, 90% of the applications are using third-party components or open source components in their application. So when this tool is looking at scanning the source code, it also looks at the third-party libraries, third-party components that you're using in terms of are you using the latest version or not? Because if the version is not up to date, it is prone to doing attacks, cyber attacks. So that's why we want to make sure that we give you like a software bill of material, a high-level software bill of material in terms of are you using the latest version of that component or not, and what is the license type you're using, what is the recommendation, and what are the vulnerabilities that you can see into. This is a very high-level report, but this will give you a flavor on what are the third-party components being used, because many times developers put in the component, but they do not look into all these things, that what is the license type, which can run into copyright issues or like software licensing issues. So this is a recent addition to this tool, which is a fantastic report. So this is on the application side of things, that you can look into your application, you can make a decision that where do you want to move, 1 year access to this tool with unlimited scans. That actually helps you that if you know there's an application coming, you're developing an application which is going to release in the next 3 to 4 months, this tool can help you do the scanning for that, and you can make sure that that application is Azure ready before you do anything. In terms of database, it gives you a similar report, database, because we want to look at the whole spectrum. When you're talking about your application, we want to look at the database as well, and how we can go into paths for your database. It gives a similar report when you scan a SQL Server. So you'll see what you have scanned, what is the server name, what is the database type, etc. You will see the recommendations, how ready your database is. For database, it will give you the similar report. It will talk about Azure SQL DB, SQL Managed Instance, or you want to do a lift and shift on a VM. So very similar to the application scan. It will give you PaaS options, it will give you IaaS options, infrastructure as a service options. So you can make a judgmental decision on where you want to go. And then similarly, you can get into details. For example, if Azure SQL is your point of interest where you want to move into PaaS, then you can look at the similar report, how many recommendations, how big the recommendations are. You can look at migration blockers. You can look at the details about migration blockers, what are the impacted objects, and more details for your reference. So that's more or less that we want to share on the demo. That the application piece, we are trying to cover that how you can move your application, what is the best way for your application. And when we run the assessment with you, we give more options in terms of like what is future, which is coming in for applications. For example, right now the tool has options in terms of Azure App Service, containers, and VM. But in future, you'll see options such as Power Apps coming in. So that is an option that you'll get for future scanning as well, because it's serverless and a lot of customers are asking for it. And then there's Azure Functions for your API. So these are some options that we discuss with you when we are scanning your application, so that we can tell you the best way forward. So that is it for today, everyone. Thank you for your time, and I hope that you have enjoyed the session and you've learned something about application modernization and understood that how at Microsoft we can help you to take your workloads, to take your legacy application into cloud and show you the best way forward and help you save some cost in the process as well. If you have any questions about any of our things that we explained today, you can definitely reach out to us. For any application that you already have, any legacy application, any application that you're looking to modernize, you can definitely reach out to us on this link, which will be shared to you, and you can get a free app assessment. We can come and discuss with you on your requirements and what is your way forward, and then guide you towards how we can help support you with your application journey. So thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a lovely day, and for any questions you can reach out to us. Thank you very much.